a special use permit granted when they provide required parking on a lot other than your own. I don't know, I'm just asking the question. We have that handle, I don't know. Saw the. So right of ways, everything more.
Yes.
Actually, we are told.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You may. I should have looked this up before I did it. So maybe this one.
Community existed as such, and I know that.
And that should
Should be the same.
that would give you an answer as well.
That would be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been, the site plan been approved.
Yeah, I do, that's how I answered the phone today. I said, good morning, and it was 12:30. I went, oh.
They're both site plan reviews, but it's the specialties and this is just to get to submission. And did not. Hold on to.
So I don't.
Okay, so, and then we will probably go over this. Okay,
Hello.
and then next, okay, we approve. So we.
Damn.
Then. Site plan reviews with even more detail. They'll come. I'm sorry, those are all site plan. Okay, sorry. No, that's okay. It's looks like you want, and then the second one.
Hello.
Is there. Areas of this again. Hey, okay, yes, thank you, Kyle, for your photos and.
You talk.
Hello.
Final, we will. Okay.
No. In the house now, Shalice's, we use,
And like some.
our city clerk, Sylvia is, and Lisa.
But I get-
Down and Bill from respect.
Okay, thank you very much.
Doesn't help me right now. It's something.
Yeah, I have, okay. I'm just yeah. Back. Oh.
Yeah, yeah, you can bring it into one.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
There might be one in my office.
Have a good summer.
Yeah, usually the banks have one.
Are you guys both just like so pumped for next week?
They charge. One of the things I would have liked.
I don't know, I mean, it's almost like,
I never thought about
Oh,
with it now,
this
some of the
summer.
retirement, maybe.
it's not been bad. So when school starts though, it's not even will be school, but it's all the extracurricular in the evening. So I think it'll actually get busier in a way, like.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
10 and 7, so grade 2 and grade 5, and Mason's said they're playing hockey this year, so that's gonna be.
Your whole life? I
Yeah,
was a hockey kid. My mom was like, didn't want me to, and then now as an adult, I understand why she was hesitant to let me start.
excited for it, like I played hockey too, but we were never as competitive, like it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah, everything is like all,
Well,
it's all craziness.
So we'll see, we'll do it for a year, then I have a little hockey, I want to be on.
Man, I haven't
Free time to it, so let's see.
no travel team.
We're, yes, no, and.
You're ready.
Good.
But some. Cold in the summer and then ice rink.
So it is 5:30, so we can. Hold the. Pre-meeting, start the pre-meeting. Then Zoom is operational. Okay,
we're operational.
so we do have 2 applications today on the agenda. Alicia, if you can help run us through.
Yeah.
The first one.
So the first one is kind of a repeat. It's 25-05 for a site plan review. It's a continuation in the sketch review to 15 Hamilton Street development, which is, to refresh your memories, to construct 3 new townhome duplexes, which would add to the existing structure on site that's currently being converted to a townhome. And the board had some additional requests last meeting that they wanted to see updates to. The most notable detail was the revised drainage. So site contours and drainage, as well as seeing how the drainage could fit with or without a proposed sidewalk along the northern portion of Hamilton Street across the property frontage. So the applicant has provided a proposed sidewalk, has updated the grading, and there are now 2 proposed areas in the front yard that appear to be essentially catchment basins. And where those 2 areas are located, it appears, at least on the western side, that one overlaps the property boundary a little bit. And then there have been some updates to best management practices for erosion control and staging. I noticed that the erosion control fence appears to be across the property line as well. You do have a staff report provided. There is still a draft resolution to classify the project, to provide a secret classification and deem the application complete so it can move forward to the detailed review stage. No public hearing was scheduled for this evening because we're still in the sketch review phase for the 15 Hamilton Street.
Yeah. You're saying that way?
It was communicated through the minutes, and last planning board meeting, there was no vote completed and a request for additional details so that the planning board could compare the sidewalk and drainage to determine their preference moving forward. And additional requests were made for the applicant to coordinate with DPW on water and sewer infrastructures.
Did you hear from DPW as to that meeting or?
CPW did provide additional comments, and those are included in the staff report. They say that it's recommended that the sewer connection of the roadway be made into the existing manhole instead of into the main line just east of the manhole. And that it's recommended that the applicant show proposed water shut off on the service line between the edge of pavement and property line, as well as recommendation that the applicant add water service connection detail on page 505, which is the detail sheet. So somewhat minimal comments, but still important. And I'm not positive if the applicant did make connection with DPW, but it was my understanding that the applicant did reach out. And then I also reached out to the environmental services team to confirm whether or not there would be issues with the combined sewer overflow. And additional calculations would be needed for that, and there is no concern. So I've got that included in the comment updates as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So if there's no questions for that, we can move on to.
I have a quick question. You mentioned I see the sidewalk on these, but you mentioned they also were doing something for some sort of planting.
It's recommended, that if they're providing the drainage basins.
Yeah.
That they also propose vegetating that with appropriate vegetation that could be resistant to dry and wet periods.
Okay,
Similar to the last, site plan reviews that the planning board has and made recommendations on.
yes, okay, thank you. And the drainage basins are, you said one of them you think goes over.
It does appear that it goes slightly.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Sorry, you can go on.
No, that's. Fine. Are you all ready to move to the next?
Yeah. Did you, in your review, this did not fall under a type 2 action?
It's recommended that this is an unlisted action because it would be 3 principal structures on one site.
Do you have another set of those 11x17s for that project?
11 by 13.
Yeah, not the huge one. That was not here last week. Yeah, thank you very much.
Any other questions on this? We do have time, so we can always come back to it. It's not doing anything about.
Yeah, I think I got two. Sorry, I got 2 copies of it. Oh, there's 2.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think we're good.
All right, great. So the next item on the agenda is 25-02, for 63 Broad Street, which is essentially the Plattsburgh House of Prayer. This is a site plan review, in the sketch review phase. And the request is to construct a single-story addition of approximately 3,679 square feet to an existing 10,178 square foot building that is currently used as a house of worship. And the proposal also includes associated modifications to the parking and open space. This is in the R2 zone district. We'll have the preparer, and owner applicant with us. Owner applicant is Jesse Brooks of the Champlain Valley Christian Center, aka Plattsburgh House of Prayer. And then plan preparer will be Brooks Washburn, excuse me, with LaBelle and Associates. And there is a draft resolution again for this, so that the planning board, if they deem fit, can consider the application complete. Provide a seeker classification, which is recommended as a complete. And then approve it to move to the detailed design phase. There is a staff report associated with this and an early copy of the checklist from an April review and a much earlier review that has set into these revised plans. There are minimal department review comments that were provided, that with the most substantial being from DPW, stating existing water and sewer main service lines need to be located, and any proposed infrastructure should also be depicted horizontally with accompanying detailed and profile drawings. And then I provided approximately 10 staff comments. Mostly to the organization and presentation of the site plan packet. Noting that it would be best if the site plan is provided in grayscale rather than color, so that all line work and topology can be determined without having to rely on color. That all property boundary depictions within the site plan are provided varying in distance talls. Those are missing currently. And that the survey adheres to the requirements set forth by city code under section 360-37. There's a few items that are still missing from that, such as a stamping license number from the surveyor, varying in distance talls, discernible line types for various features that are being depicted, and associated features that that need to be a little bit better depicted through with the grayscale line work and symbolization. It is recommended that there's proposed exterior lighting, so it's recommended that a full lighting plan be provided. There is a note on the plans for a gate that's located at the southwestern portion of the parking area that states that the gate, that future coordination be completed with the neighbor. So it's requested that additional information and explanation is provided and for a draft easement for that area. It did seem like the symbology within the legend and across the site plan was quite small, so it's recommended that that would be enlarged, so it's more legible. There's a proposed widened curb cut at the drive entrance, so it's expected that there would be a ramp to connect with the main sidewalk. So any details associated with that should be provided. And proposed exterior building materials and colors appear to be messy, but it's assumed that those materials and colors are to match the existing building, and if so, just a note should be added to the plans stating so. So it's all fairly straightforward. And then one last item was the dimensional table, the land use table. Recommending that better organization be provided towards that. And I've got a presentation for both these questions.
For both of them.
Discussion?
Discussion.
It's up to you.
It's over.
Well,
I,
it's all discussion.
I think that we have a precedent by accepting a site plan that we don't want to enter into. And that's we are showing parking on 3 separate parcels. The property line to the south shows parking through the gate that I mentioned of 7 spaces that are on the property adjacent to this. When you provide parking off your principal site, you have to have ownership and special use permit. It's what the building code said. The modification, if you look at the north part of the parcel, there's a modification on a separate parcel. Let me describe what a separate parcel is. We have a deed. Within that deed, you're describing 2 separate parcels of land. The parcel identification map that's supplied to us by the county identifies the taxable area as a method of adjoining properties and taxation. They incorporated the 2 in one parcel identification. So we have a deed description that identifies 2 separate parcels, but we're impacting the second one with parking that is required on the first one in the main. In looking at the numbers, you can eliminate these 5 of these spots of the 7 that are provided on the adjacent property, because you're providing 80 spots as reading this, and you're showing a requirement of 75 spots. So I think that five space excess number of parking spaces can be absorbed in there. It's the other 2 that might need a little bit more adjustment.
Rick, where's the pin, the plats like that you're referring to?
Right here. This is the proposed site plan. This is the property line.
Yeah.
These 7 spaces access through the gate are on the Broad Street Commons. Up here, you'll see the orange marker.
Yeah.
That's showing the property line of where the assembly
Yeah.
space is gonna be. Property lines is described up here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so
Whose property is it?
this is their property, and it's identified within the deed as a separate.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not a deed person.
Yeah.
That's how I interpret that. Here's my concern more so than anything. If we allow people to provide required parking on a lot that is not owned by them, it's not identified as the same lot as the principal structure, I think it's a dangerous precedent to allow.
So the option would be wanting to see someone at the sketch plan timing, have that memorandum of understanding or other agreement with the other landowner?
Well, that doesn't give them ownership.
Right,
It's a 2-stage process. 1, you have to have ownership,
mhm,
and then 2, you have to have the special use permit. It's an allowed use if you have ownership. But we have to go through the process to.
I see, to
prove
get the
that you're
special use
right.
permit.
Yes. There may be ways to absorb that. Site plan, I think after it's retooled.
So again, Alicia, we're here for sketch plan and seeker typing.
The sketch plan review, and there's a draft determination for that.
But-
That would deem the application complete and classify the seeker.
I didn't count the
It
space.
doesn't look like they've done.
I just went by what they're showing.
The board can
The existing.
accept that resolution and provide conditions of approval to.
This is, yes, but they are here.
And we do not have any like DCW comments
This
yet.
gate is.
There's minimal DPW comments, they're included in the staff report under department.
Correct me if I'm wrong, last month's application though, for Hamilton Street, we didn't have any DPW comments, but this month we have.
We do,
A list of comments,
yes,
this month,
correct,
okay.
yes. I don't believe DPW, though I shared the Hamilton Street plans with them, I think it was in between their time off. And they didn't have a proper chance to review it. Just because it's rare that we don't get DPW comments. And just to remind the board, both of these applications have gone through ZBA review and received approval for associated variants.
Yep. But that includes the ones up there.
Yes.
The DPW's comments are similar to mine, locate all utilities, so. Some of this storm, one thing they don't say in here is storm. I mean, this is storm, and we're good with storm.
Right.
Back to.
According to the parking schedule, 75 spaces are required. By counting up the Valco 7. There are 7 and 6.
Skin of their teeth,
So
skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
Got that one.
So we're not. I did not receive any comments back from the building inspector's office or required parking, but the applicants did have listed. Section 360-28, 1 space per every 4 seats. And they did have populated, the total number of spaces they thought would be required, and then the total number to providing.
Yeah, that's the 75. Yeah, and counting the space, counting. Collective number, there's 76, adding them. Now.
So, sorry, they're, they say existing is 60, they have 67 existing and they're proposing 85.
That's a new number.
That should be showing up.
85, I see 75.
It's-
Required total parking. Proposed parking, standard space of 76, handicap 4, total of 80, required 299 occupants, 75 spaces.
What
Yeah.
plan are you on?
C 102.
So, and this is, this goes back to a recommendation that legals, provided it in a better, more organized
Absolutely.
format, so it's easier to digest.
Totally agree, but that's why we're here to discuss it with
Exactly.
them.
So did
Yeah.
you also reference the code area where I think it's right here? 360-26 C2B.
I didn't reference it, no.
Yeah, Alicia or Bart, you can note that.
We have,
360-26 C2B.
C2B. That's where
Okay.
the reference in all other zoning district parking spaces shall be provided on the same lot as the principal zoning board of appeals may grant a lot owner special use permit for parking on a lot not more than 500 feet from such principal use, provided said lot is restricted by deed for use as parking so long as principal permits. So that's what you're referencing.
That's my reference, but I think the easier route to deal with it is if you could join within the deed in that parcel description as one single parcel at the front. You don't have to worry about
Well, the question would come probably with these,
that parking the front yard that's pre-existing.
well, between that and access across there.
But again, they have language in there that grants right of ways, easements to I think the city and the adjacent property. I only saw it on. Now, I'm just gonna share my opinion on this. If they have overflow parking and they have an easement, they've met the prescribed need for parking. So that issue that we have to contend with. Because they've met the scripted number of parking spaces within the site plan. If Joe agrees with the graph.
And if necessary, that will come through. If necessary, these statements will come back through at the end of the review for conditions.
Okay.
And still moving forward,
You are still recording.
so it is 6 o'clock. We'll move into the regular meeting. Planning board meeting ordered for Monday, August 5th, 2025. We can all rise and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Jim Abdallah,
Yes.
Rick Perry,
Yes.
Abby Musser,
Yes.
Tom Cosgrove,
Yes.
Carly Leary.
Yes.
Thank you. We do have 2 agenda items tonight. First planning board agenda is application 25-05. Continuation of sketch review for 15 Hamilton Street Development 2025.
Thanks. So this is the second time around for 25-05. It's a site plan review, in the sketch review phase for 15 Hamilton Street development. The request again is to construct 3 new townhome duplexes with 3 by 38 foot footprints. Shared access drive and parking area on approximately 0.539 acres. Where an existing single family residence is undergoing a townhome conversion at 15 Hamilton Street. The parcel is zoned R2. The applicant and property owners are here this evening. It's KLM Development, Kai and Kim Ford. The plan preparer is AES Northeast. Scott Allen is with us this evening. And again, this is for 15 Hamilton Street. Here is an overview of the parcel along Hamilton Street within the real property Theta. Here is a view of the parcel within the R2 zone district. It is surrounded by other R2 zoned properties. And this shows an excerpt of the State Historic Resources Mapping, interactive mapping tool, showing the parcel is outside of the Point View Historic District, but is directly contiguous to that district. And this is an overview, just an aerial photo of the property. Street frontage photos of the property. These are probably a few months old now. Sure, it's progressed a little bit further with the conversion of the existing home. And they don't have all of these addresses memorized. So this is a view to the west to 7 Hamilton Street and a view south from the back of the property again to 7 Hamilton Street. And they created this without all of these prompts that keep getting in the way. So this is a view directly across the street from the subject property. And a view to the north across the backyard property line. There's 2 different adjoining parcels. Then looking at 17 Hamilton Street and 27 McDonough Street, similar duplex formats and construction within the neighborhood setting. And then an overview of the site plan, page 1 of 5, showing the layout of the 4 different structures, 3 proposed, 1 existing, along with the parking layout. And a newly proposed sidewalk aligning Hamilton Street. There is a 5-foot buffer around the property. Though it's not depicted or noted what the vegetation would be within that buffer. If it's existing vegetation, what type of vegetation, if it's proposed, I'm going to type. The zoning goes up to the top right. It appears to be complete now. Symbology, staff recommendations were to provide a hatch for the patios and then include that in the legend and ensure that the legend is complete with all hatching and line types. And it appears mostly complete. Here's a close-up of the legend, zone table notes and layout of that same sheet. And then here's a close-up of the grading plan. We did discuss this in the pre-meeting, so the from the last planning board meeting reviewing this plan, the planning board requested that the applicant revise the grading slightly to provide better on-site management of water runoff. So the applicant modified the grading to provide what appeared to be 2 small kind of catch basins in the front yards. The one on the west side appears to go across the property boundary, so staff comments related suggest that that be brought back in and ensured to be kept on site. And then there's slight updates to the directional flow of the drainage, the runoff from site. And then this also shows the proposed walkway, which there would be over 5 feet of room to allow for snow storage between the proposed walk and edge of street for Hamilton Street. Here is the utility plan to provide water and sewer hookups for each of the buildings. And relocating or providing a new utility flow pole coordinated with municipal lighting district. And a note to confirm sewer connection location with Department of Public Works. Landscaping and lighting plan. There really weren't any major changes to this plan other than carrying through the proposed sidewalk. And then again, a copy of the detail sheet. A scale bar was added to the elevations and floor plan sheet for the floor plans, but the scale is still missing for the elevations. And no changes in the proposed materials or colors. So those remain the same from last meeting. Department review comments we received, I sent this back through for department review comment and then received 3 new comments back from DPW, but expected comments recommending that the sewer connection of the roadway be made into the existing manhole instead of the main line just east of the manhole, recommending that the applicant show a proposed water shut off on the service line between the edge of pavement and the property line. And then recommending the applicant add a water service connection detail to page 5 of 5. MLD as typical request stated the need for electrical load data from the applicant to size the services for the new buildings. Environmental services, I reached out directly because they don't typically provide comment. But wanted to confirm whether or not there would be anticipated issues with the combined sewer overflow. And they stated they have no concerns, especially within that area of the city. So they have no concerns with this development moving forward. And then 911 office, they still have not provided, at least not to me, recommended addressing or approval of the proposed addressing that the applicant submitted. So that coordination is still underway. And then for staff recommendations, secret classification should be an unlisted action because there's proposed multiple structures. And then as to local recommendation for the planning department review, and then the following staff comments speak very forward. While best management practices appear to be depicted, it's recommended that on the grading plan, the worker and equipment vehicle parking be provided, proposed staging areas for that, as well as staging for building materials. And then recommending that the proposed silt fence be depicted to be fully within the property boundary instead of going over the boundary, as it, I think, appears to be on the southwest portion of the property. Recommendation that a scale be provided for the elevations. Hatching, line work, and symbolization to the legend. It appears all of this appears to be mostly addressed with the exception of the proposed hatch for the patios. Number 7. It's still recommended that an on-site connection be provided to the public walkway, which is now there's a public walkway proposed now. And that, previous comments regarding the crosswalk are no longer relevant because the crosswalk is no longer being proposed. Recommend adding, the proposed 5-foot sidewalk does appear to allow for snow storage and doesn't conflict with, any other existing or proposed utilities at this point in time. Number 11. I think, just continued coordination with DPW and NLD. Had a planning board approval. The parking areas, number 13, parking areas should be appropriately screened and landscaped, which appears to be attempted with a 5-foot wide buffer, but more details should be proposed for that. To detail what the existing vegetation to be retained or proposed vegetation would be for that area. I haven't seen any proposed entrance signage, but the applicant should address whether or not they are planning signage. And if any signage is planned, it should be included in the site plan review. And then, as I previously discussed when going through the slides, the retention areas that are newly proposed to the front yard areas of this property appear to overlap the 5-foot buffer and cross the boundary line, so it's recommended on those back and we're refining their design, and also a recommendation to providing specific vegetation that is appropriate and can withstand wet and dry periods. And then there is a note on sheet 2 for the existing walkway to be removed, on-site walkway. And if that's to be removed, that note should be carried through on all site plan sheets. And that's all I have for this one. So I'll hand it back to you, Jim.
Thank you.
My name's just a couple of quick comments. First, aims to the scheduled project that we talked about last month. Frankly, we left with the impression that we had our sketch plan review approved at the last month's meeting. Apparently, that's not the case. Tonight, we're asking you to consider both the sketch plan and final plan or preliminary plan approval at tonight's meeting so we can save a month and get started on construction. Secondly, also from last meeting, it was our understanding that this sidewalk issue that we would show how a sidewalk would look on the plan. And you would also give consideration to the drainage. Comment about the sidewalk that we showed on the plan so you could see, where it would be located. It's very difficult to determine what grade these sidewalks need to go in without designing the reconstruction of the whole street, of Hamilton Street. If the city at some point in the near future decides to reconstruct Hamilton Street, that could result in change in the heights of the curbs. And now we've got a sidewalk there that may not mesh well with that curbing. And you could have some, steep slopes off the back of the curb to get to the sidewalk, or they could go downhill and create drainage problems. So it's our recommendation that we not get involved with the sidewalk construction at this time. It's just a sort of a piecemeal out in the middle of nowhere sidewalk without taking into consideration the redesign of the reconstruction of the whole street. Those are my comments. Kai, you have any comments on any of this?
We've met with, I think we're square with MLD and MLD and Public Works, so. Yeah, we're good. All the service has been sized. I don't know what. I'm good on my end. I don't know what else they need from you on their end, but.
Did receive them go down.
Yeah, we put those in months ago. So. I'm not sure the service has already been sized. I talked to Andrew again, I spoke with him previously. So I'm not sure what other,
All three of these comments are new. With this.
yeah,
this month's review.
Scott, were we tying in already to the sewer?
We show the connection just behind manhole. Some municipalities prefer not to break into these old manholes and prefer to put a sleeve or a saddle in and connect like that. But if certainly it's just a slight modification of the plan,
Yeah.
move the lateral ahead a few feet and show it tying directly into the manhole. Number two, proposed shut off, certainly that's no problem, we can show that, on the final plan. And we can add the detail as well.
I'll just address, there's no entry sign,
Okay.
I said that in the email to you. So 911, I've spoken to Kelly Donahue like 3 times. And I might propose that I think I sent to you as well, that, was, Kelly's phone over the phone. And he just asked me to put on paper and post to him, so he's gone through sort of different processes, but that's what he ended up on.
Thank you. Alicia, can you confirm, is this subject to public hearing?
The planning board has. Oh, in past precedent held public hearings for site plan reviews. And no public hearing was advertised for this evening. So yes,
So that is the one issue with moving forward, in terms of scheduling for a public hearing, which would have to be done through staff. Prior to the meeting. With that said, board comment discussion.
And I'd like to ask, Kai, how far back does this push your construction schedule? Can you still construct as planned this year?
My concern is there's a lot of site work. That needs to be done in terms of the sewer connections. Going all the way up through, bringing the water connections all the way up through, it's always a race, fall is what happens, you get. Thanksgiving is usually my cutoff. If you're not in the ground with concrete by Thanksgiving. It's like this, you could be frozen out, other years it's 60 degrees in December, so. You never know, it's always a crapshoot. Start pushing closer to that Thanksgiving deadline, so.
What are the advertising requirements for a public hearing?
I haven't read them in a little while, but Barbie typically handles them, and I believe it's 10 days, but Barb, please correct me if I'm wrong.
All I go off, whether you tell me it's subject to a public hearing and then I put a.
I think
Send
that-
it to the paper.
Greg, when you send it to the paper. And
For the meeting, it's 5 days, at
5 days
least
in
5 days before, but I don't know if that's a public hearing requirement or just the notice of the meeting itself.
Well, that's the notice of the meeting, which adheres to public hearing.
Okay, so that would be the fall under the 5 days?
Yeah. So it's 5 days. For other requirements, it's some days.
And I think I'd like to. With discussion, of course, propose that we schedule a special hearing. Possibly next week, so that they can maintain their construction schedule.
I'm sure staff could work on that. If I may, one element that the board might want to take into consideration, is it's my understanding that the applicant will still have some revisions to make. And that might take some time. And that if all of the required revisions can be completed within a month and ahead of the next planning board meeting, potentially there could be a public hearing held then, and they could get the final approval for their detailed plan that meeting and move directly forward into building permit and continuation of their timeline.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, the revisions are about 90% that happened back into you. Was today, the average model. Relatively minor revisions. We've been asked to add to the plan.
Does anyone else feel that it would be appropriate?
This has nothing to do with this project. Do we want to be holding special hearings?
Well,
Do we want to set that precedent?
it's a significant size project. Um. Given the time of year, if we waited until the next month's meeting, that's the end of September.
I agree with all of that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I'm just saying that if we do it for them, then
I think there are,
other people are gonna ask us to do it too.
I think there are circumstances that require some flexibility, and we are volunteers, and the city does have staff here, so not a decision of one, so
Yeah.
I think it's worth discussing, and
Mhm.
I think given the magnitude and fact that we do have a housing shortage, that it's a worthy project to exercise that flexibility.
So I will say, in the work session, I had asked about the application and status of the sketch. Whether the applicant would understood that it was turning as a sketch, that was because mine. Honestly, I did not understand that it had not made a past sketch.
That's not true.
No.
And is that just
Okay.
a function of the staff comments? There was not enough
I think it's a function,
progress made,
I
or?
think it's a function of the board did not make an action sketch resolution last month. Typically, we would make a motion on the sketch resolution, put forward, even if it was conditioned with comments.
I see. Okay,
So,
got it.
with that said, I'm only one person on the board, I think we have had special meetings in the past, especially for an application that reached a point where it's, timing wise. Has some necessity to move forward. It's up to the board though.
Well, why don't I make it in the form of a motion that we hold a special meeting? I'll have to yield to Barb as to when that can get into to the paper for advertisement.
If I get it to her 2 days before the time to print, that's doable. But that's about the cutoff. Usually I would send it on a Friday for the following Wednesday print. I can send it as late as a Monday, 2 days before. And then that has to be when it runs 5 days, as long as you're sure that that's for public hearing. I didn't know if it was just, you had to post 5 days before a planning board meeting in general.
It's for,
But for sure, if it's because it's a public hearing. And this was only what I was told when I was hired, that Shalice said it was 5 days. So, not looking at any planning board procedures and stuff, I just don't take it on my word.
Okay, Mr. Chairman,
You may.
could we also ask that, before you schedule a public hearing, that you review section 360 of the, existing code to point out to us where the requirement for public hearing is written for site plan review? We know that for special use permits or zoning actions, public hearing is required. And just by a quick glance through this section 360.
Excuse me, Scott, can I ask you to come up here? So.
I got it for site plan review, public hearing.
Yeah, Jim has the evidence.
So what we were looking for first.
Well, site plan review.
Yeah, Article 6.
Requirements,
360-34.
30 submission.
I believe it's under the section for public hearings that precedes the zoning code. I do not have that right in front of me, but I could pull up the code if you would like.
Sure.
Yeah.
Back out of this and pull up that.
Sure, could check that just to make sure, then maybe. Maybe we don't need.
Way that's being looked at, I just want to make another comment and that's, you know, at our last meeting, Carly has a. She was passionately speaking about public access for the betterment of the community, you know, walkability. And. You know, you took the steps and good planning practices to have that discussion in display so that we can see it and talk about it. I applaud your enthusiasm.
But you guys don't want to do it.
Well, you don't want to do is. You have a sidewalk. And find out later that it's. Not at the right grade.
Well, so that's a question I have, because I'm not civil engineer and, or, you know, to what extent would we anticipate that all the grades would change, because there's an entire existing sidewalk, would that all be?
And, yeah, the whole street, it's under design for reconstruction.
We built a lot of houses on the base over the last, number of years, and, on Main Road in particular, we built 5 houses before they redid Main Road. So during construction, we replaced on each home, every single sidewalk, every section of curbing. Each one, everything was brand new and nice. Because we felt, well, I think Joe asked us to do that. And then we also felt it was good for, you know, a person buying a home to have a nice clean property and so forth. Well, 3 years ago, they redid Main Road and ripped out all the sidewalks they put in, all the curbing, because they had to replace all the water lines. So obviously, you know, the city, it was an important public works job to do, but on the other hand, I spent how much money we spent on all those sidewalks and all those properties, and just threw them all out. So I was thinking about that after the last meeting. I mean, we tried to do the right thing there, and then everything just got thrown away, so.
What is the? Yeah, I mean. The lot. To the
There's
west,
no other sidewalks on that side of the.
no,
street,
but
so-
the entire road, I mean, there's just no. Boulevard, it's all paved
Right,
along
yeah.
here. No, there aren't. Yeah, it's quite the predicament. It's like, how do you get ahead unless the city has a. To their point, a comprehensive plan to redo the street and
Right.
include that. To make those arguments that it's piecemeal and not worth it, because you're gonna waste it.
Yep.
I can't tell. Yeah, there is. I mean, people do.
There's something that would be helpful for me to bring from this.
I was looking at Google Street View.
Okay.
So
I think other people may be more familiar with the site than me, so that's what I was.
was there a determination on referral to the county planning board that was not required?
It's not a requirement.
Not required. Here, okay.
It's not within 500 feet of the property line, and it's not a subdivision.
So Scott, I'll let you confirm if you are in agreement, but 360-56 applications, hearings and decisions. Item R. And that is. Provisions apply to applications for administrative review, variances, special use permits, site plan approvals, planning and developments, historic approvals. Then if you go to R, time of hearing, the boards shall conduct a public hearing within 62 days from the date an application is received on any matter referred to them under this section.
I'm sorry.
Three,
Yeah, 56, yeah.
360-56. And that would be under R.
Well, he's looking for that. Is there another gate for a public hearing later on in the process as well? Because there will be sketch plan, a site plan, and then is there a final plan review with this board as well?
It,
No.
the typical process, depending on the completeness of the site plan. Typically we'll go sketch plan, preliminary, final detailed. Often the planning board will combine preliminary and final
Final.
detail.
They're already final.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if the plan is, you know, substantially complete and has relatively no staff comments, it may be recommended to the planning board that they want to, you know, go sketch to detail in one meeting. There is nothing in the code that states the specific order, but the planning board has fallen back to the order of a subdivision review process for more complicated site plan reviews.
So. Scott, are you,
Yeah, I see, yeah, through the application here is the decision. Through the major of the zone board of appeals or the planning board, so are. Does the board should conduct a public hearing within 60 days from the day an application is received on any matter referred to in under this section. Yeah, everything good say.
And that public hearing is also what mails out the postcards to all the neighbors and everything, right?
We do not do a mailing to adjacent neighbors.
Okay, that's only for the zoning board?
Correct,
Got
at this point in time.
it. Okay.
so. With that said. You know, there is a, I don't know, if they made an actual motion there,
Well, we're talking.
or you're still talking about it.
Days.
Well,
Okay.
before we make the motion for the special hearing, is like everything else satisfied? Like, should we figure out like if the rest of the application is all like, we're good to go on that before we vote on whether we want to do a special hearing?
So I think the applicants offered that within. a Couple of days, most of the revisions here. Or that are noted here, can be submitted back to staff,
You mean, do we have any other? comments?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think we've really talked about them.
which is.
I mean-
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, like, are we all done with talking about this before we vote on having a special hearing?
Scott, are there any conditions that you can't meet? We postpone or hold a special hearing next week?
No, I don't see any. Again, I don't know what the show for excited for this side of it. You know. So that's a tough one.
That, yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at, is like, I think the sidewalk issue is something we should all decide on, because it's in the comments, so like, are we going to recommend that or not? I'm not gonna die on that hill. But
so,
I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like we've talked about the rest of it.
so I do have one other comment,
We don't have.
Yeah.
Get it all wrapped up.
in regards to these depressed areas for the stormwater.
Yes. It is filtration basins, basically. Didn't go on out.
Can you, sorry, she's having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah.
Would you mind coming up?
So
And for the recording. For the-
two things,
Yeah.
can you sort of codify that? Brief narrative or report just on stormwater management.
Sure.
Like a standard detail for a section of
Well, that's one
the
thing,
detention.
I'm more looking just, I mean. You could justify in your calculations that, you know, you're not gonna. Put a pond in the front yard.
Well, it's gonna depend on infiltration. From all indications, it's sandy soil out there, and that's why we don't think it, is gonna require a special media. So, we're relying basically on infiltration, otherwise it's got a sheet, what we had before was sheet flow, out the handle of that. You asked to mitigate that, so by creating the depressions and, creating those infiltration basins, that'll mitigate the impact on the storm sewer.
I'm even thinking, well, if you could. And I think, I just don't want to end up with a foot pond in your front yard, but an infiltrate or something. So I don't know whether there's another mitigation practice, whether you rise well, or something of it, and again, even exploring whether the storm sewer can be connected, it's like as a way to control it, but mitigate it.
Yeah,
And I don't know, again, that's a coordination with DPW, that's my only comment.
yeah, we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, not just representing something, but how does it work, or is it working, or what?
Again, you look at that, I mean, maybe it does address in short order the comment, but it is foot plus depression in the front yard. Don't know.
Right, so is there an overflow in there that connects to the storm sewer, so it doesn't drain from
The-
there across the road, or? Is there an engineered detail showing that how it does at least infiltrate?
In the spring, you don't have what. That sound. Like something we probably don't want.
Well, I thought that was the idea, though, wasn't it? Isn't it supposed to retain water,
I think,
right? I mean,
I think the question is whether it infiltrates in the front of your yard or infiltrates in
Yeah. What we can do is
the
we can
totality.
put some yard drains in those basins, in the center of those basins, and just run a 4-inch line out to the storm sewer.
oh, so it's open overflow.
Yeah.
Like,
Something just to
like
get
where the
you-
elevation is up more at the overflow line, so it can hold it up to a foot, and then if it goes above
Yeah,
that.
by putting a small discharge out of the bottom of the basin, we'll control the flow that goes into the city storm sewer. But at least it'll keep those bottoms dry.
If you,
So yard drains and small diameter pipe into the catch. into the storm
Doesn't
sewer.
that bypass the point of, but no, you're still, it still controls the rate of discharge, so. It's
correct,
functioning, but it doesn't hold water.
and then inside you can modify that. Sure.
I just had a couple questions to clarify, the privacy fencing around the patios in the back, are there gates in that? Or is it all,
They're just perpendicular to the building.
Mhm.
So they would just come out, so a solid piece of fence.
Yeah, but
Screening.
It's not spread.
between the two patios, just to provide privacy between the two. Tenants. It's not intended to be totally.
oh, it's not fully enclosed, it's just, okay.
Left for that, something, yeah.
So that, I thought it was like this little
I thought it
wall,
was
and it's
too.
like, are there not gates or anything, but it's just that separation, and then the rest that's reflected is patio.
That way, you
Okay.
know, two people are sitting outside, you're not staring at your neighbor. just-
No, that's fine, I was concerned if they were like little wall enclosures that you can't get to the sidewalk.
I interpreted that the same.
Yeah, no, this is fine.
Yeah,
Wanted to
just, you're
clarify.
not, I mean, hopefully you like your neighbors, but.
And then,
Or if you're outside by yourself, you're not staring at your neighbor, that's kind of what we're thinking.
but it's just, the line points to, the arrow points to the edge of it looks like that's a fence there, not just the patio edge. The double fence, I mean, I understand there's kind of this dissonance between where the lot line is, but then there's the 5-foot buffer, but there is an existing fence. And then you're adding a fence, so essentially, is there gonna be kind of 2 fences and a no man's land between, or I'm just trying to understand
The
the plan?
existing fences. For people applicated.
Yeah, what is it, a wood or
It's
chain
just like
link?
a split rail.
Yeah.
You know, like a,
Singular. enterprise.
I don't know, like fence, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's
Oh, yeah.
kind of falling in, I mean, I don't.
Okay.
Think it's.
So it's completely ineffective, it doesn't provide screening or a real
I think
boundary,
It's big broken,
okay,
there's not.
so you're proposing a new fence that actually Right, it's about, I just was concerned if there were kind of a no man's channel that's a concealed space for like security wise, that'd be concerning, but that doesn't sound like that's what would be
There's-
created because the other fence isn't really.
It's not really,
Okay,
it's just a fence, so if it's, I
Yep.
think, I'll talk to the neighbor, but, I think there was some, we weren't quite sure, Scott, right, where there was some discrepancy in the deed as to where,
yeah,
It's kind of a bunch. In the deed, they were not supposed to remove the property line, but I think I could read, I don't think they care, if I put a new fence up, they'll probably be happy to have it. Oh, did they? Okay, never mind. Yes.
yeah. The only other question I had is if your fence runs where you're showing it, were you planning to kind of snow plow and push snow off the end? And do you need a little space? Like if you want to push your fence back. I know you're creating a buffer, but it was just nothing critical, just mostly clarification.
That's a,
Yeah, we can move that next,
that's a good comment. Yeah. That's a.
That's all, thank you.
Any other discussion?
I will then make a motion as long as everyone's concerns have been satisfied and time isn't, crucial. Scott can prepare what information we need. Barb can get it in and advertise it in compliance with our regulation, so, I'll throw out the date next Monday.
It's Labor Day.
That's-
Labor Day.
No.
Oh, that's a holiday. That's,
Next Tuesday or next Friday could be available dates.
okay.
I didn't see any other meetings scheduled for the council chambers of either one of those 2 days.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna suggest next Tuesday, and that day is
the third.
third.
The second.
No,
Second, sorry.
So I give you your 5 days, you're gonna have to get the.
I have no idea,
You'll have to
really.
get- you'll have to get
Get
the-
Alicia gone,
You'll have to get-
whether who's gonna be coming and
Yeah. you'll have to get
the holiday, and I'm taking vacation
Yeah.
some days this week. So whether I'll be here or not, but as far as the time for getting the paper, I think when you were talking that other 360, whatever. Isn't the public hearing not 5 days? Because as I said, I wasn't sure of that.
It is.
Is
It is.
it
It was confirmed.
for the public hearing?
Correct.
Okay, I didn't catch that. So it would have to go in. The public hearing notice would have to go in 5 days before the meeting, and I have to get it to the press at least 2 days before. the print
So
date
it
of
would have to
the-
be next Friday then.
Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, so it's.
Get your 5
that's what I'm
days plus
saying.
your 2 days, plus the holiday.
do we all have to be present for that special hearing?
You would need a quorum.
You need it for,
and-
and staff support at some level, right?
For the
Yeah.
following.
Which
Yeah.
we would. Staff would have to be here.
Okay.
The following week would be fine, I mean, we obviously appreciate those.
Yeah.
So Monday, the 8th.
Yeah, whenever it works for you guys.
Monday, the 8th. For
What time?
the board,
If,
or for the
for staff,
availability of the.
it appears that the chambers will be free then. So we'll just have to coordinate with that and secure that.
Okay, so the motion is, special meeting Monday, September 8th.
Well, that would be, so, okay, so I would have to get. The ad to her by then Friday, because
Yeah.
Monday's the
Yeah.
holiday.
Right.
Yeah, you should have enough time to advertise for that. And
We'll have, yeah, the whole agenda.
That's what I-
and then the next planning board meeting date is the 22nd. FYI.
So we do have a motion on the floor to schedule a special meeting for Monday, the 8th, to consider application 25-05.
What time?
The regularly scheduled time, 6
6
o'clock.
o'clock, yeah.
Would there be a pre-meeting?
I didn't hear that.
Would there be a pre-meeting?
Oh, it's up to the planning board. Typically you do have a pre-meeting.
A half hour to review everything we reviewed.
No,
I think
no
it's just
pre-meeting.
regulation
I'm not
of
coming for a
meetings
pre-meeting.
Yeah.
For consideration, of the application of the final application.
Yep.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor, do I have a second? By anyone?
I can second it.
Second, here,
I can.
Oh,
do we have a second?
That's a yes, or you can, or you, if it's a yes. Yeah.
That was the second. I
It was a
seconded.
second, okay, you were, I couldn't really
I
hear.
didn't think I had one, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay, I got confused, okay, so roll call,
Oh, oh,
Okay, Jim Abdallah,
yeah.
Rick Perry,
yes.
Abby Musser,
Yes.
Tom Coster,
Yes.
Carly Leary.
Yes.
With that said, so that we solidify this for the sketch plan, we have a resolution with conditions. Again, establishes the application, leaf with the conditions being established. A secret classification of an unlisted uncoordinated action. The schedule for public hearing.
And so with the proposed conditions, is the planning board accepting all staff comments? As presented in the staff report, and are there any additional conditions being proposed?
Can you pull up the staff comments again?
It's right there.
It's right
I
there.
think you gotta figure out the sidewalk.
So what is do we have any sense of whether that street would be redone in the next 10 years?
I have not received any word from DPW on whether that street would be redone. They have a repaving schedule that they operate by. I don't think it's been on their current paving schedule. They update their paving schedule every year. Depending on what they were able. Previous year pictures.
But paving, but that, I mean, they're talking about more like if we redid all the pipes, right? Like.
Okay, yeah, so I was gonna say, they just repaved that recent. Didn't they?
They might have resurfaced it, but you're talking about like a full reconstruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna tear up all the piping and you're gonna.
Some might be like groups like it. I'm sorry?
I think that you're right, I think the paving's been, it's been resurfaced.
Resurfaced, yeah.
But you're not talking about that when you're referring to the sidewalk issues.
No, that'd be the full depth.
Yeah, I have no idea what this
There's-
is, but
No anticipated full reconstruction at this point in time.
Yeah.
There could be in the future. I think there's other focuses for full depth reconstruction on other more major streets within the city, where there have been persistent water main breaks.
Mhm.
And then where the city wants to improve, infrastructure coordination with the town of Plattsburgh, such as River Street.
Can you go back one slide here? I just wanna see the frontage
This way,
and yeah, sort of from the street view. Just to see where it ties into. I hear what you're saying. We don't like orphan sidewalks. We haven't really requested those. Is there any from the street view of like looking at the property? Wasn't there one where it was, yeah. Here.
Yeah, there's no sidewalks.
Right, so there's no other sidewalk for it to connect to, and if you look west. You know, going back towards Route 9, there's nothing really for it to tie into there either. So I can see where the applicant's.
There
coming
is
from.
sidewalk on Route 9 up there.
Yes, on Route 9, but I'm
And
saying, but not on
Street has a
Hamilton.
pipe.
The south side has it, but this does not.
And the
So,
lower
like,
half of
the-
Hamilton Street has a sidewalk on that side.
Yeah, on the east side, yes.
Like I said, this isn't a hill I'm gonna die on, so you guys, you know my opinion on it, and the four of you can put in your opinions on it.
I mean, I feel strongly about creating connectivity and you have to start somewhere, but. The likelihood that they'll, is there a likelihood that there would be the infill sidewalks in the time before any of this would be redone? Probably not. It probably would maybe be a more complete street kind of approach if this whole street were redone with infrastructure, right, at
Mhm.
that point. And I think I'm not one to promote the waste of carbon intensive concrete either. It'd have to be torn out at some time, but it's just hard altogether. I think putting more energy then, or in time and money into even more functional and better drainage swales could then be, the trade-off.
Yeah,
Cause I mean, I really appreciate the effort to take advantage of the way the grading works, prevent the sheet draining onto the street that goes right to the storm sewer, we're close to the lake. So really enhancing that even more.
I would tend to agree. That would be my approach as well.
Yeah, there's no question that that's a waste of money or waste of energy resources.
Good.
Can we just see the staff comments again, like that, there? Make sure you're on the same page here.
Any of the staff comments regarding, so the boards agree that no sidewalk.
Yeah, I think we
If there's any comments pertaining to that sidewalk, then.
It would be, I would say eliminating, it sounds like the elimination of number 7 and number 8, if the board wants to focus on those two. Those pertain to the sidewalk.
They become just not applicable.
The board would have to
Okay,
clarify that.
Okay.
In their.
okay.
I wasn't here last week. 7 was a sidewalk or a crosswalk was being proposed at some point to get you across to that sidewalk.
Yeah, but we don't have
Okay.
standards for
Sure,
crosswalks.
in the
and
middle of the
roads.
street. Yeah, that makes sense.
It
Okay.
was a good intention, but it
Yeah.
didn't seem to function.
No, I get it. Okay.
You want a copy of the comments, they're all within.
Number 13, parking areas should be appropriately screened and landscaped. We haven't. Proposed any landscaping. I guess, because it's snow removal. So I don't know if you guys want to address that.
Does that refer to, are we concerned about the view from the street frontage?
It's a typical condition, and part of the site plan review criteria, but the parking areas, the base comment was a previous comment provided on the last staff report. The updated portion is that the 5-foot wide buffer should, depict the proposed vegetation type. Whether if it's existing or proposed, that vegetation type should be called out. Because there's a 5-foot wide buffer that was discussed last meeting and still appears on the plans. But it doesn't, the plans do not depict what is within that buffer.
So that note, that 5-foot vegetation buffer is essentially a note to say, you need to note if this is existing or proposed. Is that right?
Yeah.
What is the vegetation?
What is the vegetation and what the vegetation type is? So if it's existing, note that it's existing, note what it is. If it's proposed, note that it's proposed,
Like
note
an
what that
image.
would be.
What it is,
Right.
it's on notes, it's referred to in note 6, sheet 1. That'll basically remain as it is, it's just an undisturbed area. It'll reduce, I just think, kind of go strip right up to the property line.
Yeah.
There's a little 5-foot buffer of existing grass, it's existing lawn, so I'll make it clear in the plans that that 5-foot buffer is to remain lawn.
That'd be great. Thank you.
But Scott, where's note 6? Sorry.
On sheet 1.5, it's narrative regarding the stormwater.
Oh, in the title block.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the notes.
Mhm. Oh, I see. It keeps you under an acre.
Yeah, it's just to minimize. erosion
Hmm.
during construction.
Mhm.
Comment number 8.
So real,
Not 8,
so real quickly, number 13 of the, Scott, that doesn't necessarily address the comment of the buffer. Like a screened in landscape.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I think that number 13, no, did that precede our submission of the landscape maps?
Yes.
You have a landscape.
No, it was in addition to, you submitted the landscape plan last meeting. And this was also a staff comment last meeting.
I think maybe we should get clarification on that. So we-
That's what I was thinking, was that we were being asked to clarify that.
Mhm.
So I think we have the landscaping plan, we can see it now, the symbols in front of the. In front of the buildings, the circular symbols. Show where the various species will be, the planting fee at the upper left corner on sheet. On sheet number 4. I don't know, is there any additional screening that that you're recommending?
So the initial comment was to provide screening for the parking areas. Last meeting, you all stated that there was a fence that was being proposed along the northern property boundary, and that there was a 5-foot wide buffer that, which is shown, it's depicted, that goes around the perimeter. And it was my understanding that that was also proposed to screen the parking. So, again, it was clarification on what the vegetated species for that buffer would be.
It's basically lawn and lawn, if you can go back to some of the photos. You can see that there's trees very near the property lines. So by maintaining this 5-foot buffer. Then is kind of put on notice not to go down. and cut the
Yeah,
trees.
you're limiting the you're limiting the site disturbance by creating that buffer. Now, is that then the perimeter of your silt fence or? That's the perimeter of the silt fence then?
Yeah,
The
silt
protecting
fence-
the inside of that
fence
buffer?
would go on the inside.
Yeah.
Of the 5-foot buffer.
Mhm.
So it's just, guide the,
And you're just looking for
Contractors.
the note that essentially would say.
Leave that
in
as
the back end,
undisturbed
that's
as possible.
existing.
Like there's a tree here already and we're not gonna move it.
Right.
Yeah, just note that it's, yeah.
Like the staff wants on here, there is a tree here and we're not going to disturb it.
It actually is up to the planning. It's a staff
Okay,
recommendation to the planning.
Yeah.
to Consider. That the applicant provides greater detail on what vegetative species. would
So
be
then it would just say
in the buffer.
existing vegetation to remain,
Right.
to clarify that
But
further.
on the flip side of that, so Scott, those two considered like. Far left of that photo. Those.
Yeah, there's 2 maple trees.
Whatever those are, those are in the buffer.
I'm not sure.
Those are really, yeah, I'm hoping to not do anything, but they're gonna be, I have to kind of see where the buildings are gonna be,
Yeah.
So I think those are the things to probably clear, and like. In the back of the site where your excavator is.
Yeah.
Are all those trees? To be removed, or are they in?
I'm trying to save the locust, there's a. Straight back, there's a number of tall locusts, so if they're not in the parking area, I'd like to save those. There's the trees that will be coming down will be the box elders. So, if you look right behind the house. The silver existing house, those are box elders. The neighbor, Don next door, has asked me to take that down. He's gonna split, one of them kind of goes his way, one of them goes my way. So he's asked me to take those 2 down. So we are gonna take those.
The big ones.
They're box elders and they're breaking, a lot of those have come down, so.
We'll go out and shoot those 2 on the west line tomorrow, so we know exactly where they are. I'm not sure if they're on the property.
Yeah,
But we'll detail that. on the next submission, so whether they're staying.
That would be the only, I mean, those do have to come down, so we can show that and they're, you know, they're.
On the new zoning update and site plan, do we require documentation of existing trees that are over so many inches, you know, diameter, breast height, kind of?
I'm pretty sure that's part of the guidelines.
I think, you know, what we're talking about is like, oh, if we had that kind of stuff on here and,
Yeah.
not that it's a
absolutely. That would
requirement,
be
but-
really helpful,
yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, okay.
for applicant and planning board.
Mhm. And so then, you know, there is then with that fence, the screening of the parking from the lots behind, and then from the street side, there's really just that one kind of end of the parallel parking that's visible. I mean, I understand the idea that if you want to, is there a curb there or is it flush?
It's flush.
So you could plow towards your detention pond, so is it practical to have?
We tried to minimize.
Landscaping there.
One of the reasons Ken oriented the site like this is. It allowed the parking area to be. Least impactful from the
Yeah.
city, we felt.
Yep, no, I appreciate the configuration of the buildings that helps bring that one building up and create a street frontage and keep your parking in the core. There are many other ways you could have oriented the site, so I think that is. By default helps screen the parking.
Do you have any other questions? You were moving on to like, sorry.
I think I'm good, I mean. What exactly, like I said, I've spoken with DPW and MLD. Do you want something in writing from them, or I mean, what, normally we don't, I just talk to them and. We just go from there, but.
So typically they wouldn't be providing additional comments on the second round. Because their comments would either stay or be satisfied. So we can check in with DPW and confirm that they're satisfied with the details. And we can go back through planning, so we can go back through and verify also from our own perspective whether or not it appears that those comments are satisfied. But again, DPW's comments were fairly fresh. I'm not entirely, I had sent them revised plans. So they should have been working off of the most recent revision. So I'm happy just to go back and check from our end as well. And confirm that that they're satisfied with the revisions.
Yes, my name's Jim. Could you ask them to send me the utility plan that I requested several weeks ago?
That if they stated that they would,
They never,
then
they never said it, they never said yes or no, said they take my message. Back.
I can't force them to provide. I apologize. I do know, internally, there has been some staff turnover and shifts. As well as vacation time, so I think there's been an overlap between, the superintendent and assistant superintendent being in the office and able to respond to requests over the last couple of weeks, but the superintendent should be back in the office and responding. And then assistant superintendent is now the director of the community development department and is reachable.
It may not hurt to politely refresh your request. Right to the top of the inbox.
It's a very detailed report, thank you. Very good. You're welcome to my copy of it.
You all should have gotten a copy of these, but if you don't get a copy of the staff reports I've had at the meeting, please reach out and let us
No,
know.
we did, I just wanted to make sure that we were prepared.
Okay.
Because you guys are obviously going to the effort of having a special meeting, which we appreciate, I just want to make sure we're fully on the same
Yeah.
page. We can provide you with everything that we need to do, so. That's it.
So if I can summarize, what I think we've addressed is the board's generally in agreement to forego the sidewalk. Comments been offered in terms of revisiting the stormwater management, which applicant has indicated they're gonna look at under drain. And modifying the report with some calculations to maybe reduce retention in the front yard. That sounds correct, Scott? Yeah, good. And then, applicant is going to take a look at the buffer areas. Identify some of the trees on the plan and vegetation to stay.
Sorry, Jim,
Go ahead.
that is stated in what, as one of the comments, so. Would you mind,
Referencing it?
yes, and or running through the comments to say what you'll accept and or modify?
So number 13.
So number 13. Where the applicant is going to under number 13. Clarify existing conditions of some of the trees on site in the buffer area to be maintained or removed. The sidewalk, I believe, is number 8
And 7.
and 7, which the board has said we're not gonna require.
So eliminating 7 and 8.
The 5-foot sidewalk, yep. And then number. I guess my comments about the stormwater would be in number 15. Generally speaking. Which, again, the applicant's gonna offer some more information, coordinate with DPW with connections to storm sewer. Adjusting. That. Catch everything?
You gotta ask your minute taker.
Did that catch everything for you?
As far as I can see.
Okay, does the board have any other things?
So the silt fence, is that's being requested to be depicted on here? Is that,
So fence is showing
it's 2B, where is it?
There's
with sheet 2 along the. Frontage, there's the. Line with those squares.
Okay, thank you. I'm not familiar with so should that be within the buffer? If there's no sidewalk, I guess, or does it?
Good, I guess. We would leave that up to you to adjust your silt fence as necessary.
Well, yeah, we'll probably pull that to going a little ways in further that.
Since you're not doing the sidewalk, you can adjust that.
Okay, thank you. Just my own clarification.
That's, and it's referenced by the legend, so that's what it's kind of.
Mhm.
Does the board have any other items, anything I missed? Okay, then. I guess those items outlined would be the added conditions or revisions to staff. Comments. We do have a resolution. Accepting the sketch plan. Again, with staff comments. And conditions. Do I have a motion for that?
All right. I'll make a motion to pass resolution 25-05 with staff comments and the board conditions previously discussed.
A second,
Second.
thanks, I have it. Roll call.
Jim Abdallah,
Yes.
Rick Perry,
Yes.
Abby Musser,
Yes.
Tom Cosgrove,
Yes.
Carly Larry.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Secret, you made it, you just determined the type of action, you'll do your findings in the next meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
So we do have our second application, planning board application 25-02. Is that correct? 25-02.
It's, yes, that is correct. For 63 Broad Street edition. Because it's out of order sequentially.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Because it's out of order sequentially, is that?
Yeah,
your question?
yes.
Yes, they've been working to revise the submission
Oh, they were assigned the number.
early.
Right. Okay, so application 25-02.
Should I move ahead or should we wait?
Do you mind if we wait? Yeah,
Presentation.
we'll wait for the. That's the. Yeah, I know. Think. Years ago, no one said.
Maybe quite, but. Persistent. I have a quick question. I don't know if you can answer it. Are we looking at? Like on here, it looks like they're showing us the addition, but also the internal renovations they're gonna be making. Do we have to improve their internal renovations? They're just showing us.
It's just context.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, so. Full board here, so I think.
Yeah.
Let's move on to other. Please.
Okay, so just to remind everybody, there is a full staff report that we provided to planning board and hopefully the applicants have a copy. So the information that is provided in this presentation gives an overview of the application and truncated versions of the staff report. So item number 25-02 site plan review, the sketch review for 63 Broad Street edition. The request is to construct a single-story addition of approximately 3,679 square feet to an existing 10,178 plus or minus square foot building currently used as a house of worship. The proposal also includes associated modifications to parking and open space and is located at 63 Broad Street and is within the R2 zoning open. Sorry, that's my eyes just don't direct within the R2 zoning district. The applicant and property owner are here today, we have Jesse Brooks representing the Champlain Valley Christian Center, AKA Plattsburgh House of Prayer. And then the plan preparer is Brooks Washburn, who is also here from Labella Associates. And here's an overview of the parcel within the zone district, the R2 zone district. It's directly across from the RH zone district, aligning Broad Street. Here is an overview of with just the aerial pictometry of the parcel showing the site. And again, the parcel boundaries are not survey grade. This is a good example where they are not completely survey grade. Here are pictures of the street frontage from along Broad Street of the existing building. And then jumping into the proposed plans. Here is the existing site layout showing the existing building, walkways, and parking area. There is an area of the grass that has been cut back to make additional room for parking. It's my understanding that the applicants began working to improve parking, but were requested to pause that work until they made it through all of the appropriate reviews. And this also shows site reading. And I apologize, I don't know, on my screen, it's a bit more faded than my my computer upstairs, so hopefully you all can make out the line work on this plan, and you have your plans in front of you. But this is also a unique area of the city where there is kind of an off-street kind of a side frontage area along Broad Street. It is privately owned by the House of Prayer and provides additional parking to the north of the lot. And then there's additional on-site parking that comes through the entrance and wraps around to the back of the building. There's a proposed sidewalk that would be provided from the front of the building out to the parking on the north side, and then further connection to Broad Street and both walkway. And then the addition would be provided at the northwestern portion of the existing structure. And then existing sidewalk along the western side of the structure. So this shows it a little bit more clearly. And then the applicant lays out in a couple different ways the existing lot area, what was approved through the zoning board, and what is proposed. For lot area, maximum coverage, maximum open space, and parking, as well as setbacks and height. Seating. It's a fairly straightforward plan, all considering. Minimal impacts to open space and vegetation, but down in the southwest corner of the property, they're proposing an adjustment to accessing the parking south of the property boundary that is owned by an adjacent owner. And you'll see a note there to coordinate with that owner. These are 3D renderings of the existing building with the proposed addition. And then the existing floor plan with uses. The type text is a little bit small on my screen, but hopefully you can make that out on the plans in front of you. And this is with the existing building with the proposed addition to the north. That the proposed floor plan. And then proposed elevations. Oops. So, in total, it will still, be below the maximum height allowance. But give a little extra articulation on the size of the building. And maintain kind of, a flat front facade with an articulated pitched roof. And that's it for the plan review. I can go back to any of these slides later on, once we get into discussion. Department review comments. I didn't receive any comment from police, fire, building inspector, or environmental services, or 911. It's not expected that there will be any address changes. MLD, as typical, requested that electrical load should be provided, and DPW had their comment requesting existing water and sewer main and service lines be located and any proposed infrastructure be depicted horizontally and accompanied by the associated detail and profile drawings. It is proposed, staff comments propose the seeker classification be a type 2 action, because this is an addition to an existing building. And is proposing to be within all required dimensional criteria with the exception of the side setbacks, which the applicant has already received zoning board approval for. So therefore, it's recommended that the planning board require all department review comments be addressed by the applicant along with the following staff comments. Pretty minimal and straightforward comments. Number 2, the site plans that should be provided in grayscale rather than color. Number 3, all property boundary depictions within the site plan should provide varying distance calls. 4, per 360-37 of the city code, a complete stamp survey should be provided with varying distances for the site. Number 5, updated and refined dimensional criteria should be provided. This is just to provide better organization and so that the dimensional criteria is easier for the planning board to review and digest. And there's no confusion presented when seeking that information, but it does appear that all of that information is currently provided on the site plan. Number 6, elevation plans show exterior lighting on the proposed addition. However, the applicant should provide picture detail sheets. There's a note on those plans indicating the lighting into dark back compliant. Number 7, provide any supporting documentation, such as easements or an MOU, or whatever other agreements may exist for the note to further explain and clarify the note coordinating with the neighbor for that southwestern property crossing to the adjacent parking. Number 8, update and enlarge symbols for manholes, hydrants, bars, poles, lights, etc. 9, recommended adding design details for sidewalk ramps and any other pertinent sidewalk details where changes may be proposed. And then in number 10, if the applicant is proposing to match existing building materials and colors, please provide a note. As such, otherwise provide the proposed building materials and details for the new addition. And that's it for staff comments. Just as a reminder, the planning board does have a draft resolution. If they want to deem this application complete and accept the secret classification. And allow the sketch review to progress to detailed plan review.
You can supplement with any
Give you my version.
information.
Hi, this is Reverend Brooks. I'm Brooks Washburn. Same name, that's unusual. Anyway, last year, the House of Prayer came to us and wanted to expand where they were. They've got a growing congregation. They like where they are. Existing lot of record, existing building. The choice was to move out of town or to stay where they are. Unfortunately, to stay where they were it took some steps. The first one was the zoning variance. Zoning board is a judicial process because it is a change to a law that exists. In this case, the existing conditions of the building, it's in an R2 zone. If you look at the aerial map, it's not really an R2, it's all big buildings and asphalt, but it's an R2 zone. It has a 50% open space requirement, which the existing building didn't even meet. And needed a variance to go from an already non-conforming open space of it was 32% or something down to 26% or something. It needed their variance. Very pleasant meeting with zoning where they understood the existing conditions of the way it was zoned in the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. And they also wanted the church to be able to expand in the city. And granted a minor variance for the 4 or 5% change in the already non-conforming coverage. Open space, because like the apartment houses and the church stuff, they don't need 50% open space. They're not playing frisbee or golf or anything, on their side. So that was very pleasant, very smooth. No problem. The next step was then the spring to go to the next step of the planning review. The project got past the zoning variance, the church board decided to keep going to the next step. Now that's the little concept is on the zoning map. I just drew a little square for about how big they needed to expand. When they decide takes time and money, and they're taking it a step at a time. So then we did the concept design and some sketches, and then cleaned them up for the planning board application showing. I like the store-proof building in a residential neighborhood, and showing the parking and expansion of the interior plan. The design comes from the functional layout of the activities of the church, named sanctuary, congregation space, and classrooms and all that stuff. Because you can't have a good design unless you know it's going to work. So the design went to the schematic step. We packaged the application for the planning board. And the planning board review is ministerial. You're not changing, we're not even permitted to change any rules. Your duty is to make sure that the proposed design is conforming to the rules that exist. Whereas they have been changed by the zoning board, which they have. So I believe this does meet all the rules. We can review that tonight. The zoning board application was based on those aerial maps that have an approximate property line and approximate numbers. And the zoning board was not too concerned about 3 decimal points on coverage. They know it's approximate, they know it's architecture and construction. When we got to the next step and knowing we were going to be moving forward into design and into construction, our first package for election was still from the zoning board drawings, and they were a little fuzzy. So we had to take a step backwards and get a survey, which did show property lines and boundaries and contours and all that stuff just right. It jiggled the numbers a tiny bit with the zoning board had reviewed and approved, and made it a little bit less restrictive. The site's a tiny bit smaller than we thought it was, so the coverage numbers were a little less pushing the boundaries of the approval, so it didn't change the basis of their approval. We got all that information, did get the drawings to match that site information, and then let's it back to city for their review. We're hopeful that you don't find anything wrong with the application, and we can get it approved. The process here is a little different from the one I'm used to in fact, on the second, it's kind of. I'm used to every meeting being public hearing and public comment period, so that the board can get whatever comments from anybody anytime. You know, in the process, but that's something you imagine. We can go through the staff comments one by one quickly, and I'll give you the answers. With all those, because I think they're all real simple. And answer any of the questions that you might have. The timeframe from the church, though. Partly my mistake, or my fault, and partly the city's fault. Why should I be going back and forth for 6 months? For whatever reason, and we get comments, then we got to survey, and then we did it again, but you had comments, so I have the notification of another year. Now it's maybe September, maybe. These guys are trying to get the parking lot that got them in trouble in the first place when they started grading without any zoning or planning work. And without any planning, they have the zoning code, they started clearing some lawn. And they, building process, maybe need building permit, but before you get building permit, you gotta go to the planning and decide. So anyway. That's kind of, they're hoping of trying to get the parking done before winter. The timeframe for the addition is next year anyway. That's gonna be a summer, fall construction, good time for contractors. I know contractors are busy, we've even tried to invite some Plattsburgh contractors that are St. Louis County, once in a while, actually this year they're very busy and haven't been trying to get over it. So. The whole construction process will take, 8 to 12 months from starting that anyway, so that's not so much of an issue. But it's that they want to get their parking, keep their parking moving season.
I think we're okay without going through all the staff comments. I think, you were here for the pre-meeting, so you heard all that the board was discussing. I think there was maybe one point of discussion that you wanted to bring up, and I don't know that there was much else. Sure.
I mean, I
I
have
like
a
this
question.
discussion. I used to move, I'm a very relaxed relationship with planning. Okay, the other thing, I'm not used to this. Me against you stuff, so.
Sure.
I thought we, by the way. We try to amicably work out differences and have your plan be the community accept. So.
So as far as the process goes, just outlining. Tonight is a sketch plan review.
Yeah, see, I don't use that, I usually, that makes okay, let's keep moving.
Well, in this case, there's gonna be, you have a baseline comments. I have some comments, the rest of the planning board might have comments. That usually leads to us approving the baseline of your plan, a sketch form with comment conditions. Typing the action of seeker, scheduling the public hearing, and that would lead to a second meeting for
You submitted the secret form.
your final. Well, in this case, so we're gonna find what that is, in this case, we can determine it as a type 2 action, no further action is required. In other forms, it might be considered an uncoordinated or coordinated.
Right.
So the board has to make that finding and determination. So that's just to summarize the board meeting here tonight. With that said, outside of this list of comments. Real quickly, Alicia. Is this subject to 239M referral? Adjacent to state property?
That potentially,
Okay.
I didn't, thank you. I did not check that.
Yeah, so that would be another referral from this board that, in order for us to make a decision, the county planning board has to make a decision. And this is directly adjacent to state property. I believe that will be one of the conditions of a county. So that'd be another thing between now and our next meeting. It would be a referral from planning
Yeah.
department. Or from the city to the county. Another comment or question when discussion come up is you discussed, there's provisions within the ordinance in regards to parking. So in this case, with a formal site plan or with a formal site plan in the survey, you've identified, and it's been identified in the pre-work session that this property is split in two.
It's one deed, one tax.
But two separate parcels technically.
Lots of deeds are many parcels.
It actually references it in your survey, it's parcel one and parcel two. If, so in this case, our ordinance has like a specific provision. In this regard about off premises parking. Requiring a special use permit.
But it's more than parcel. It's more than tax map, it's more than TV. Many properties are many parcels.
Maybe. Maybe your surveyor can make the argument within their survey map that says parcel one and parcel two.
Zoning board made their judgments based on the entire. Property.
But again, we will need some type of response to that.
Well,
in
in
regards
regards
to-
to, you've got the deed that shows that it's one property.
The deed references two parcels, two lots.
Correct. It's one.
The way that, no, it's not. You may be referencing the county GIS. You may be referencing the Clayton County real property parcel identification that's numbering. The deed is the determining factor. The deed identifies two separate parcels. No, it's,
Well, you're right. It's,
Yeah.
and it's never been, I think it's not, when it's not, he owns several properties in their combined.
well, that's totally, you don't impact multiple parcels with trying to meet the standard of the zoning ordinance. In this particular case. I don't know if you're familiar with the evolution of how that little piece of land came about, but that was all owned by the city all the way down to Riverside, yes. And they offered it to the adjacent property
So you
owners.
said you can provide the parcels and file a new deed.
I think all you need to do is just identify a new deed description that includes that in the main parcel, and they get you there.
That's what I said, you have to
Yeah.
divide it into a single parcel,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
not have two parcels.
Correct.
Right now, it's one
That,
deed.
that's the
parcel.
simple solution,
And you're
correct?
saying the zoning, when you like that, I have. It's not by property, it's by parcel. I mean, it's. No, the other part they can do it. I mean, it's never had to do it again, but it's also not hard to do.
No. It just cleans it up.
Yeah.
The other. Identifying parking that's not on your property, the land to the south.
Oh, that's a handshake deal with the name.
Okay,
Which doesn't,
so
well, I would say,
your required parking has to be. It can be provided in one of two ways. You can provide it on site,
it is,
okay? Or you can provide it on property that you own within 500 feet. And acquire a special use permit.
it's on the site,
You don't own seven
You
parking
just said it was.
spaces.
that's those 7 spaces, it's not on this,
Tell us,
the 76 spaces is on this.
The top two parcels.
On this.
tell me what this site map means, right?
They're just,
What does this tell us? Because
That's just,
7 parking spaces.
the way it was drawn, and see how this is curb on the neighboring property, this is asphalt on the neighboring property, this is the boundary of the asphalt. On adjacent properties, it's six one. Neighbor.
So what are those 7 parking spaces? Yeah, exactly.
Nothing to do with us. That's just like this curve, there's nothing to do with us, that's only neighbors.
Correct.
That's just showing, we didn't stop the drawing of the property line, we showed them context.
But you did on 5 others. This one you happen to include
Right, that
those parking spaces.
Sure, that's just the beginning road, just cutting this short.
Okay. So you're saying that
Yeah, the existing.
you're
parking-
gonna have to
required
You have to
parking lot-
describe to me what the handshake deal about those
Oh,
additional parking spaces
Really?
is about.
When they have a wedding or something, look at the map, at least you can bring up the first one that shows the acres and acres of asphalt. There's way more parking from the old days.
That one?
Yeah, I mean, look at it, I mean, look at all, it's just asphalt everywhere. Yeah. And. There's way more parking here than these guys need. And in fact, as you know, you're planning board, parking ratios keep changing. I'm lead certified, I talked to Sam with 150 years of Clarkson. I mean, I'm the dark sky lighting, I mean, you can trust me, it's all gonna be that way. DEC. When we get to the tunnel, there's not gonna be a drop of water crossing a property line, the DOT compliments us all the time, and play one of those rules. You know, we make sure it's illegal for water to cross the property line, pre-development, post-development, all this will be managed. And we're only increasing the impervious area by 3,500 square feet on this, so that's gonna be simple to manage, anyway, it's a big rushing. There's miles of asphalt. Instead of these guys having to say, oh gosh, let's pave some more of our front yard to get another front yard parking space. When they get a wedding or funeral or something, they got a handshake deal with this guy, and says, okay, you can park over here, and I'm not gonna call the cops. That's all it is, it doesn't involve any
Is,
lawyers or planning words or anything, it's just a handshake deal.
Those parking spaces that are not included.
No, the 76 is on our property. In fact, the 80 is on our
So
property.
Can you just,
In fact, I double checked it when I heard you talking.
well, I did too. I come up with 76, including these 7 spaces.
No, because I double checked when I did the one section talking about. If we count these, 6 and 7 and 6 and 15, if you add that all up, plus the 4 there, it's correct. I just double checked it. It's the 76 regular 4 handicap, so we have 80. And we're required to have 75. And we have it on our file. I did double check it because I heard you talking about.
so I have a question. With the zoning board, are you able to request a variance to provide less parking because you have the handshake deal? So you wouldn't have to further increase the impervious surface?
We did not meet, because we more than meet the 1-to-4 ratio for this occupancy. We have more parking than the required. Under the zoning.
So total parking,
We're required to have 1 spot for every 4 seats. We have 299 occupants.
Okay, that's one set of numbers.
If we need 75, we got 80.
When you look at this, it's 4 seats for 336. It's not, this is in the 299 number, it's a different number.
Well, this is just Alicia's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She comes up, excuse me,
this is what we would be allowed to have. We're, based on the number of spaces we have, we could have, and this is an old one, G 85, the final one is 80. We're allowed to have 320 people.
I apologize, that could be a typo on my
Yeah.
part.
Okay. So if you were gonna, saying you could have, based on your 80 spaces, you could have 320 people. Well, we only have 299, so we got 5 extra spaces. So we're good.
as long as you have those on site,
Yes.
you've answered my concern. But you have to understand, when we look at different numbers,
Yeah.
which numbers are the accurate numbers that we need
Yeah, that's a little.
to account
Well,
for?
that was the bounce it out.
Can you,
You can
in
trust me.
the next meeting, can you give us one concise
Well, this is-
document that, which one?
This is it, this is right. See, the occupancy here, 299. 1 per 4.
you have that right there,
Yeah.
which meets this.
1 space per 4, section 360-26. So. But, and it didn't develop zone work, and we didn't need any variance from that. What we did need the variance for was. The open space, so we could provide the parking. Basically. Because we didn't have enough open space, we needed to be further, use the open space to make some more parking, and a little bit bigger building. Even not the variance, it's the building parking.
What I'm gonna ask you to do is provide us with the documentation that says, take my word for it. Here it is, I've just proved it. If you could do that, that's
And like,
we have too many different,
Make it bigger.
one that we can read and that's consistent. That's good.
This big. Yeah. But yeah, we're finding the part. But more than.
Then
And the neighbor, it's just dandling when they get to my age. That's the part.
I applaud him for that. That's being a good citizen, being a good neighbor.
I would say in this case, that's outside of the board's review. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not, as long as those spaces are not within consideration in this plan, then. I don't. Applaud you to get along with your neighbor across.
One thing we are doing, what we put on the site plan is cooperating with the neighbor to get a good layout of the parking, removing the gate.
Which,
to connect to the. That's why it shows up on this plan, it's a little.
so. With that said, the one that doesn't look too fast is the section within our ordinance about the parking on two.
Well, we can combine lots, that's not the.
Well, I mean, I'll allow you, between your surveyor. Maybe some discussion with the building department, which one works the best, whether it's a special use permit or it's combining the lots, I mean. That there are different ways to approach that.
Yeah, we can decide, I mean, the special use permit sounds,
I mean, with that special use permit,
Yeah.
to your discussion earlier, it's
Yeah.
a prescriptive, it's something you're allowed with its own. Just,
that's interesting, I never had that.
and that's specific to the section that we talked in the pre-meeting, 360-26 to 8.
So it says parcel, it doesn't say property,
It says law,
it says lot, well, what's the definition of a lot?
it says law.
See, I think we've got a lot here, it's a tax number, and
That's-
it's a deed,
That's where I'll allow you to go back to the building inspector.
okay.
And discuss that further. As far as here goes, we had two lots shown on the survey.
I'll just be defined, that's, I mean,
Okay.
that's the big rate, what's a lot?
Uh,
Even the tax map number is not a lot.
So we have a county planning board approval, 239M, that's something to be coordinated with staff.
Double check them, yep.
Sorry
about that.
There are a number of there as well. There's comments in here about clarifying utilities for DPW.
He said, yeah, 1963, that's, I have no idea. And then we've got a 4-inch line, water, and we've got a on the sewer. Plenty fine, but has to be done anyway. As you guys know, we do low flow water fixtures and things like that, there has to be some existing water sewers. And we really believe that the loading of these water and sewer facilities are reduced per square foot of the building based on all this stuff, on a lot of investigations. But there's no issue there.
I think in this case, again, capturing existing utilities,
They're all
on the plan.
flip to the. See, we've got a little feed right there, there's the water, there's the water line, there's the sewer line.
So I will say that there's manholes and other things shown on these plans that don't even have connecting.
Well, there's surface, that's from the survey, that's from surface. We're not
I
changing any of that.
think that's part of it, though, picking that up on the plan. Making sure that all those connections are valid. The other thing, stormwater management, we'll need some type of design balance memo.
Yeah, what is the stormwater management approach?
Well, it's very tiny, it's not over that one acre service from the DEC or anything like that, they simply can document the pre-development, post-development.
What, sorry?
We can just document the pre-development and post-development flows. Showing that they'll be retained on site, which it says so in secret form. So
The most that we have here is that it flows to a law. That's the only
on the
one.
secret form, so they can express that.
So I think it'll be very similar to like a past application. I know that you came here for like Dunkin' Donuts and you
Yeah.
did a memo with calculations. I think you actually showed stormwater management where you were connecting to the city's storm sewer.
Yes.
That'll be a similar. That would be what we'd be looking for within a file.
But that's a. This is stormwater post.
Again, if we can solidify that plan and formalize it a little better, that'd be great. Sediment and erosion control during construction. Should have some, we should have some level of plan that outlines and,
Well, you got a building permit, of course, all that stuff.
but we're responsible for giving them a plan to enforce. So,
You get a construction drawings.
so,
You're a planning.
so.
You're
When,
when fences. There's no still fence rules in your zoning code.
so
This is a planning review.
So the plan that leaves this port goes to the building department for enforcement. Really typically would have a sediment erosion control plan.
We're 6 months away from signing construction.
That just outlining to you what
It's weird, so you get the cart before the horse, I mean, we can't invest tens of thousands of dollars in construction drawings before there's approval to do the project.
Well, no, you wanna build a parking lot, correct? And you've already started to break ground in advance of site plan, well, and you wanna build that parking lot. Well, sediment erosion control would be part of that one.
Oh, agreed, for the building permit drawings,
Oh, for the parking lot drawings.
for the building permit. After we get planning approval,
That would be a plan that would be required as part of.
that's weird, I never had, but we did, but I get ourselves, that's the one. Never had,
So-
to me, that's a building department level drawing, or a building permit.
So that would be a required plan as part of the planning board to do. Any other comments? from the board?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to kind of look at this, like, zooming out from the nitty gritty stuff, conceptually, from like a urban planning perspective. What, so if you look at the street, all of the dormitories and other buildings along the street kind of face the street. This building's primary entrance face to the street, and in the addition, with the addition, you're reorienting the face of the building to face the parking lot to the side. Typically, we want to see like a building facing the street and connecting to people in that way and being part of that urban facade, right? So my question is, how are you, like, I was looking at these. So the street front view is this flat wall here?
Just like it is now.
Right, but you're making an addition and we're improving the urban fabric. So my question is, how would you address this being like, how would you address the primary street
The
frontage?
way it is now, the front door on the side.
No, the front door is,
You-
no, the front door is facing the street. You're incorrect.
Everybody comes by car, nobody comes. foot anymore.
Is this on a campus? Who are the parishioners?
They come by car.
Yeah, we have a mix, multi-generational.
Yeah, so you have a parking lot, but I'm just saying, from a planning perspective, you often see the building oriented to the street and having a face, and right now it's completely turned into the parking lot. So I'm asking you, how would you approach, making that a contributing part of the streetscape?
We try to make it convenient for people to get from their car to the building. Nobody walks on the sidewalk, nobody walks on the sidewalk.
That's
You're driving down the
completely,
street.
completely inaccurate.
Right.
That's not a good attitude.
I think we could say door on the front, but it would let them complicate their management coming in two different places and things like that.
In terms of the function of the building, would you want people that are in that sanctuary in the cafe area to be able to access their open lawn that you have in the front and kind of show life and activity? Like, have you considered the role of this building in kind of activating that front area? Do you think there's value to that?
It's not, it's not, it's on the street, it's north facing, it's not, it's not any outdoor.
Those sound like design opportunities.
Hmm.
Those sound like design opportunities.
Maybe, but there's been no discussion. They don't do it now, they're even bigger than the line and front door, so
I'm just giving you comments
it's fine.
from the board,
There's been-
things you should consider as part of being part of a city site.
Usually, they don't do it now, and they've got more of that now, and they're gonna have them done. They don't need to, use.
Something to consider in your final.
Well, man, it was fun, they always look to discuss it, like, what's. Just, yeah, you don't understand what they're gonna think, you never know what thought.
Any other boards?
Are you considering bike racks or any other ways to facilitate alternate uses of transportation to access the building?
Question,
Okay,
I don't think your code has an racial fire, actually, something. Definitely. There's a suggestion for you. Oh, we don't need more rules, but anyway, it's a good.
code is being updated right now.
Yeah.
Nothing for me.
Nothing more. So we do have a list from staff. We do have a number of additional items that were discussed as added conditions. Those including the county planning board referral 239M, staff will assist in coordinating. Stormwater management, outline memo and report. Consideration of how you're addressing, how the applicant's addressing special use permit requirements for off-lot parking. Again, number of items, or number of ways of approaching that have been discussed about what we've had. The applicant,
City attorney question. Fine, live.
you can coordinate with city attorney if you'd like as well.
Agree, what's a lot.
Sediment and erosion control plan.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Street front architectural design considerations. Barb, were you able to catch those items?
I believe so. I Yeah, I guess my only thing is when you make the motion, because you're not going forward with the addition now, do you need to designate that?
It's a phased. approach.
Yeah, I mean, because you're not like approving anything, I don't know. That's a dumb question. It's just what I would.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So Alicia, does this application cover just the site improvements, or is it in covering the sketch for the addition as well?
It's the addition as well as the parking. So, and I can go back to that statement, which was included in the advertisement, but this would still require a public hearing. As per the code.
So there would not, to Barb's question, there would be no, you need to change anything within the draft, right?
Yeah, I guess.
There shouldn't be, no, I think, and maybe just some of the back and forth comments brought a little confusion, but I think just providing a clear resolution and conditions of approval will assist staff in moving forward. If that's what the board says.
Okay. And were there any other questions from applicants?
Okay, I just really quickly things. Reviews. The rated color, I put a color, we gave you both. Okay. We do, the survey now has the stamp and the parents and the distance and things, so 3 and 4, 5. 5 and film plans like that. The lighting show says on the elevation. We don't have a picture type of the elevated state of stuff. What about where they remember, I like that band, darkening. Sidewalk details, it's nothing. You don't need no steel on the inside of concrete, stuff like that. And then building materials will be probably EFS, like the member show us, we haven't made the building material yet. I don't think that's regulated. It'll be something like who's sketched a monolithic sort of panelized kind of the top inside and the top board, and we're not having anything like that on that, or something like that. And we're maintaining the present appearance of the building in the way it shows in the sketches.
So you're generally clear on all the comments.
I think I am, you are.
And seems like there's a lot of steps on the parking lot side.
Yes, that's.
Yeah, we understand that, okay?
That's what a handicap class was.
The reason the chairman had asked about the sidewalk details. Do you have elevations, do you have slope, do you have resting spots, do you have,
The construction detail.
yeah. And they'll get that when we approve it, okay?
Oh, we'll do a whole building.
Yeah, you'll get it when we approve it.
Okay, I don't understand.
When you have the detail for the sidewalk, so we can verify handicap compliance. You will get approval when we approve it.
The planning board
Yes,
checks.
That's it.
Compliance.
part of the site plan approval.
You're gonna be everything.
Well, you're not the only one.
I
Okay?
don't do it.
So I will say this, that this planning board approves the construction of the.
Really?
Yes,
We'll say that.
I don't know what planning boards you go to, but most, a good portion do. In this case, we would be normally seeing a sidewalk detail. Without issue.
Alright.
We would normally see a sediment and erosion control plan
Okay.
without issue. In this case, that's why I asked you if you were clear on the outline from the staff.
Oh, yeah. It's different than. We can go do it, but.
Yeah, I will say that the last planning board application that you came through with had construction level detail. You provided stormwater plan, you provided calculations, you provided the details we asked
More
for.
complicated project.
It was a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, more complicated project.
So in this case, and again, I think the
We do
is
the standard details, and I can get standard detail.
and I think ultimately there's that's some additional conditions that were added in with at least is clarified with notes taken. She'll be able to offer those after the meeting.
Nothing right about it, it's just further into construction documents, and we're used to what's planning, those new conformance to zoning laws. So,
Okay. So with that said, we do have a sketch resolution. With conditions.
Is one of the conditions the sidewalk thing? Are you making that clear that that's part of, that's in there?
I think that's already.
It's on the.
Or not.
Okay.
We concur with staff.
Yep.
Can I just ask one question?
Now's the time.
Did we decide that they don't need to do another number 7? Cause you said that what they do on that lot for weddings is not our,
Because it's not part of the required parking.
I would agree.
so just
That's a good-
7 can be taken off.
So you are meeting your parking already for 7. We can remove.
Okay.
Okay, so again, we have a sketch resolution with conditions. The conditions have been noted by Mark. Do I have a motion? For that?
I would like to see some indication that the street frontage is gonna be considered. I mean, is that,
So I think in one of the conditions. That I outlined, or that I had outlined was architectural consideration for.
Okay.
Street frontage.
Yeah.
If you have anything else to add,
no, that, thank you.
that works. So with that said, any other comments from the board? Or question?
I think it's great that there's adaptive reuse. To, keep the church in the city. I think it's a great project.
Agreed.
Thank you.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 25-02. With staff comments and board updates as discussed.
Is there a second?
Do we have a second?
Oh, I'll second.
Roll call.
Jim Abdallah,
Yes.
Rick Perry,
No, with clarification. I don't think that we've been provided with the level of detail that we can legitimately approve.
Abby Musser,
Yes.
Tom Cosgrove,
Yes.
Carly Leary.
Yes.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you. Have a good night.
So do you have? Other business?
There is other business.
What's that?
There is other business.
Yeah.
So, I'll start with the next part. We're more than halfway through with our review of the full draft of the zoning update. Hope to be rolling that out to the public and the common council, I think hopefully by, mid-September, the latest, I think. Some dates need to be arrived at for that. And then, a big news, point is that this is my last planning board meeting. So, I really enjoyed working with you all. And I wish the board and the zoning update in the city as much success as possible. Internally, so there's been a little bit of a staff turnover. Andrew Duran, who was assistant superintendent of DPW, has actually been appointed and taken over the community development director position, and has quite a bit of background in planning capital projects, project management, and infrastructure oversight, and planning and other associated tasks will be folded back under the community development department once again, so it won't be standalone directly under the mayor's office as it has been for the last 3 years. So potentially there will be greater alignment provided that way. I do know that Andrew Duran, as that new community development director, and the mayor have been actively seeking and may have a candidate in mind to appoint to oversee planning projects. How soon that occurs, I'm not sure. I'm not part of that process. But just to let you know, that it's not the intent to leave planning projects or that review open-ended and unfulfilled. So, and I do feel confident, while Andrew is quite busy these days, I do feel confident that he should be able to step in. I mean, obviously, we'll have to have a conversation with him regarding the special meeting, but that he would be able to step in and take the reins if necessary, if there is a gap in stepping. So, I think that's all of my news. If anybody has any questions, I'm sorry. I didn't want that news to interfere with this meeting, so I held off letting you know. Jim knew, so you can yell at him. But I wanted.
What a meeting for you to go out on.
Alicia, I'm sorry, can you clarify though, are you still in the city planning position?
No, I'm leaving the city.
Okay.
Yeah, my last day is this coming Friday.
Okay.
Friday. Answer your call last week. Well, and I reached out to you to let you know for the climate task force position.
I did see on the agenda, leadership changes.
Yes. So, yeah, it's, you guys have been a great board to work with, and obviously, as this meeting showed, if I've missed something, you definitely can step in and keep things pressured forward. So kudos to you all. I think you're a really well-rounded board and offer some great perspectives. And hopefully with the zoning update, if and when, I'm knock on wood, it will get adopted. But hopefully that will create better alignment, greater clarifications, and more guidance to work from. Not to say that this code is bad. It's just, there's areas that are disconnected, I think, and through time, as Jim has worked through with me, there are elements that have completely fallen off of our document records, such as specifications. After the last engineering department was disbanded, a lot of information was lost. So hopefully through the zoning update, a lot of information will be restored or put in motion to be restored and fill a lot of the gaps that we've been trying to plug the holes on for the last 5 years, 3 years since I've been here. But I think you guys have all done a great job and continue as you can. So thanks for your service. Thank you, Leanne, for your
Thank
help.
you.
You may, I accepted a position with the town of Middlebury, Vermont. So I'm not moving, it's just a reverse commute, so I'm going 45 minutes in the opposite direction. Oh, yeah. Across the
ferry?
bridge.
No, bridge.
The bridge, yeah. So, on bad weather days, might be able to call in and see if I can work from home.
Yeah.
That will be a nice perk. But a lot of people will driving and or having to make amendments and you're really bad the days.
Yeah.
So I won't have that highway to Yeah. And you leave.
Yeah.
Thank you. So with that said, any other questions, comments, or anything else?
I'm just not sure about the whole, now that you've said you're not gonna be here, my immediate panic was trying to pull together this special meeting.
Sure.
Because we didn't do it last time, I'm like, oh, now we gotta do a special meeting. To try to fit in a special meeting, other than just trying to, plus we've got all these,
When's your last?
I got all these other applications coming in for the September meeting already.
True.
We're gonna have the 2 site plans coming back,
One.
or
site-
1 now, yeah, and then what, 3
I
or
had,
4?
my total tally was 5 with the 15 Hamilton Street, 5
Yeah.
reviews. So it will bring it down to 1 returning site plan, 1 new site plan, and 2 historic site reviews.
If the 100 Bridge comes back, though, that'd be 3, right?
No, 100 bridges included.
Well, we have 2 more, because that one came in on Friday, well, I asked you if you.
That's included.
Yeah,
I got
so, yeah, anyway, what it turns out to be, I'm not sure about the whole,
turnover changes.
you know, who would step in and.
Well, so, to answer your question, Barb, that would be an internal conversation.
Yeah.
With the current community development director.
That's us kind of, I'm like, I don't know if I will be here in the, you know, so it's just,
So
I don't know if Andrew is gonna be ready to step in. I was taking this job, but I was gonna have everybody truly plan around me.
I have an open call to Andrew and some coordination
Yeah,
was involved, so we'll have to talk about it.
yeah, I'm gonna be, all I can do to get the units done by the end of this week, 'cause I'm off tomorrow. My job is this is all side, but I'm off tomorrow for my daughter's birthday. I gotta take Thursday afternoon off to my daughter's bed. Trying to get the stuff done.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we can call it.
Oh my god, thank you.
You have a motion to adjourn?
Can we delete that?
Motion to adjourn.